Hey guys, welcome back to Andy's Dinosaur Reviews. What we are looking at today is another of the brand new 2020 Vitae releases. However, this is one that I feel like has kind of gone under the radar, even though we have actually reviewed the figure previously. Now that might sound a little confusing to you, but what I mean is there is a kind of like a deluxe version, like a museum series version of the Jinyunpelta, which is exactly who you are looking at here, is the Jinyunpelta. However, this is not the museum series figure. We have previously reviewed the museum series figure that comes with a base and a very different paint scheme. This is kind of like the standard version as far as the release goes, that I don't know if all that many people even know it's actually released, and even myself, I had no idea until I just randomly stumbled upon it on eBay. And I thought, wow, look at this really cool version of the Jinyunpelta from Vitae. Really nice reddish paint scheme, which I absolutely love on the figure. And it was a pretty cheap price overall. So, of course, I placed an order for it instantly. And I'm really happy to have it here now in person. Definitely sporting an overall gorgeous look paint scheme-wise for this figure. Again, we have reviewed the sculpt of this figure previously. And I advise you, if you are interested in this figure, to check out the previous Museum Series review, because that one as well is absolutely gorgeous paint wise and includes a very beautiful base and a really cool, overall appearance to that set. But the figure overall is gorgeous no matter which way you go, whether it's the Museum Series one or this version, or if you buy this one to go with the Museum Series and kind of create a diorama. They both are awesome sculpt wise. But what we are here to take a look at today is this version, the newest version with a different paint scheme. So let's go ahead and get a closer look at it right now. So this figure definitely looks really cool with this reddish paint scheme on. I can definitely say that for sure. But one thing you're going to notice is there's not quite as much variation to the paint as what we saw on the more museum series version, which has like an upgraded paint scheme. But what we can see here in the face area is, again, that beautiful reddish coloration to the head. You can see it darkens up here at the top a little bit because it kind of has like a nice dry brushing of I don't know if it's like a black or a darker red, but they've dry brushed some of the scale detail out, and you can see that detail popping pretty nicely up there on the top of the head, but you'll see it a little better when we move back into the back area. But you can see a really nice reddish coloration again here on the side of the face, and almost like a pink that sort of borders around the eye, and then the eye is painted with a nice black coloration. And then here on the lower jaw we have kind of like an off-white, almost like a light gray in that area as well. The beak is painted with a nice brownish coloration, and overall I think the head sculpt looks really beautiful for sure with this beautiful reddish paint scheme that we have going on here. You can see the opposing side of the head again as well. Looks really nice with this new paint scheme on it. You can also see that the kind of like spikes here, the armored area, is painted with a nice brownish coloration. They as well have a little bit of dry brushing added to them to make them pop quite nicely. You can also see that in general there's like a really nice dark red that starts up here on the head and then runs down the course of like the center of the dinosaur. It runs the entire length of our Jinyunpelta all the way down here onto the tail, but right here it kind of turns into like a striping down the tail as opposed to like this stripe that runs down the body. I think that looks really cool and also gives again a little bit of paint variation to the figure. You can also continue to see the really nice brown here used on the kind of armored areas that litter the back of our Jinyunpelta, as well as that nice dry brushing that's been applied here to just generally like the texturing, the scale detail here on the back. You can see pops beautifully with that darker dry brushing that they've done to the figure, making it have a very nice realistic paint application, I think. I also like how with these kind of side spikes, you can see it starts out with like a darker brown the closer to the body you are, but it transitions to a lighter brown there, or like a tan for the tips. So it really kind of highlights that area and really makes it kind of jump out at you a little bit more than it would otherwise. And once we get back here to the club tail, you can see that it has been given a nice dark wash so that all of the cracks and crevices and everything included kind of jump out at you and look really cool. You can also see that dark wash is present here on the underside of the club tail as well. And then when we look along the underside of the dinosaur, you can just generally see that it's been painted with a nice kind of a like an off-white or like a tan coloration, and it looks pretty good overall. Really nicely applied, nice and natural transitions between the colors. You can see even here on the underside as it transitions up here into the stomach, you start to see that kind of dry brushing pick up here in the reddish areas as well, so that looks really nice and a little bit more color variation added to the figure, and also some just generally highlighting some of the scale detail quite beautifully. You can see the nails are painted with a dark gray, and they are very nicely painted. There's no sloppiness as far as the nail paint goes. You can see every area of every foot of this dinosaur has really nicely painted nails. You can see even here on the rear foot. Again, looks really good. You can also see the beautiful paint application over here on this side as far as the really nice dry brushing that they've applied, making all the detail pop quite beautifully, as well as the nice smooth transitions between the colors and everything on the figure. So if you are looking to get this figure and you don't want to pay the higher price to get the base and everything, maybe you're just not a fan of bases in general, this is definitely a great second option as far as the Jinyunpelta goes from Vitae, because this is a beautiful figure at a pretty cheap rate without the base, and I honestly am a huge fan of both, but this is definitely yet another really nice version of this figure. As far as a size goes, it's exactly the same size as the very first version of this figure that we reviewed, but we'll take a look here again. Size-wise, you're looking at about 6 inches, or about the 15 centimeter range in length. And then for a height, the highest point would be the back, and you were looking at right around the 2-inch range, or 5 centimeters. For a size comparison, there is Mr. Papo T-Rex, the Attack Pack Colovosaurus, and Robert Muldoon from the Mattel Jurassic World toy line next to our Vitae Jinyunpelta, and you can definitely see in comparison to these figures again that the Jinyunpelta sports a smaller size. I would say it's like a small heading into medium size range for the Jinyunpelta. And for a second comparison, here is the original Jinyunpelta from Vitae with the kind of alternate version that we have here with the reddish paint, the a little bit cheaper version, and you can definitely see how cool they look next to each other. But you can also pick up on the fact that the paint application of the more museum style version is a little bit more detailed, a little nicer than what we see on this reddish version. But even with that being said, I think that the reddish version still has a really nicely applied paint application and just generally looks beautiful. And I love the fact that there are 2 different versions of the figure, because again, you can then create kind of a diorama with 2 Jinyunpelta as opposed to 1 and have them look a little bit different. And you also have options as far as which one you would prefer to purchase. So this newest version is definitely a welcome addition to my collection, and I now have 2 Vitae Jinyunpelta. So as far as this kind of standard version of the Vitae Jinyunpelta goes, I absolutely love it. I actually am a huge fan of the reddish coloration on Ankylosaur type dinosaurs. Ever since the discovery of Boreolopelta having that reddish coloration, I really do like seeing reddish coloration on species like this. So it looks really good. It looks really natural on the Jinyunpelta, and overall, I think that Vitae has done a great job as far as applying that paint application in a realistic way that it really pops on the figure. I think with the nice dry brushing that they've applied to the figure in so many different areas, it still manages to, even if it has like a little bit of a lesser detailed paint application than the museum style one, it still manages to look really nice, realistic, and lifelike overall, thanks to the way it's painted with the nice smooth transitions between the colors, the beautiful dry brushing that makes all of the scale detail pop really nicely. And I think that the colorations they use are all really nice, natural on the figure, and nice and naturally applied as well. I love the fact that they've kind of darkened the middle of the back and then kind of ran that stripe down and then stripe across the tail. It just gives a little alternate paint variation, but looks really cool on the figure. And just generally, this is, again, yet another beautiful version of the Jinyunpelta. So I'm really psyched to have 2 different options as far as this figure goes, as far as like owning it. If you don't want a base with your Jinyunpelta, you can buy this version without the base, or if you do want the base, you can buy the more museum grade version with the base. It's really your call, or you can buy both like I have here, and I'm going to, of course, when displaying the figure, absolutely will be displaying both of these together because they just are so cool and honestly look like they belong together. So if you would like to pick up this alternate variation of the Jinyunpelta from Vitae, make sure you check the description, as I will have a link right there for you to head on over to eBay and purchase this for yourself. So make sure you check the description, go buy this beautiful Vitae Jinyunpelta, and make sure you also like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next review. Thanks for watching.